Ollie was called in for an art theft. It's kind of Ollie's favorite, because just as the classic thing. This one was no exception. The piece that was stolen was a minor piece by Degas. And the legitimate owner was a very, very wealthy family from the north of Baltimore. Said, Ollie, it's almost a matter of pride more than anything else. Someone broke into our house, stole our Degas, and I'm offended. We do so much for this city, I can't believe anyone would break into our house and take from us with all that we give. I said, yeah, I can't begin to guess at the motivations of the person, but I'm happy to take the case. So, when there's a big art theft, in Ollie's world anyway, often you find it at an auction. Sometimes it's spirited away to someone's private collection. But often the thief wants to get rid of it. So Ollie started watching the auctions. And with a little bit of perseverance, he found it. There was a Degas that matched the description, listed in an auction in Philadelphia. He found it a week later, and the auction was 2 days after he found it. So he rang up the owner as quickly as he could. He said, I've got good news and bad news. I've located your Degas. I said, oh, that's excellent. Where is it? He said, well, it's being offered up on a private auction in Philadelphia in 2 days' time. I said, well, we must get it back. Surely we can just call the police in. I said, yes, there's kind of a good way and a bad way to do that, but yes. Here's the thing. We could call the police in. Since it crossed state lines, we can even get the FBI. And there's a team that specializes in art theft. And what they'll probably want to do is go there undercover. And when the art piece comes up on display for the auction, then they'll come at the stage from both sides and claim the piece. That sounds great. It seems like that would be a solid way to do it. I said, yes, here's the problem. And it may not be a problem for you, I don't know. But if they do that, we're never going to catch the thief. I said, oh, I see. I do want to catch the thief. Is there another way? I says, yes, there is. It's risky. But I have had it work before. But go on. Well, the other way to do it is to win the auction and then corner the person selling it when we make the exchange. I see. Well, seems like that should be worth a try. It's worth a lot of money, but I have the money to wager, and I do want to catch the thief. So they set it up. They agreed that Ollie would go. So he gave Ollie the money that he would need to win the auction. The day the auction came and Ollie made his way in, several interesting pieces came up for sale. Ollie wondered if there was nefarious backstories to all of them. And then the Degas came up. And it was the one. The guy had given Ollie pictures of it, so he would know that it was just the exact one. And there it was. So the bidding started. Ollie made sure he wasn't the first to bid. But there wasn't a lot of active bidding on it. But then another bidder did put in a bid. It's kind of low. Ollie waited about 10 seconds, and he raised his card to bid the next higher number. And then 2 or 3 other people got in. Ollie was worried about that. Sometimes people wait for other people to bid before they bid, because they don't want to bid on losing on a not very interesting piece. So they wait to see what the other bidders will do before they bid. It's all very recursive that way. Ollie tried to keep the bidding as cool as possible. As much control as he had. because he didn't have an infinite amount of money, of course. But as it got higher, it started to cool off. And Ollie won the auction at about $10,000. Ollie came up to the stage and they gave him a card with instructions. And they would take the money and give the painting at one of the ballrooms, one of the rooms there at the hotel that it was being held at. And it would be in 1 hour's time. What they didn't see was that Ollie very quietly slipped a little GPS tracker chip onto the back of the painting before they took it away. That was Ollie's insurance policy. So that if things really went south, he could still track the painting. Because Ollie's very clever, very good with sleight of hand and misdirection, he got it on there. So Ollie waited. He had a beer to keep himself relaxed. This was the moment of truth, the moment of conflict, as the hour got close. And it was about 15 minutes away. I got out the card and made sure he understood the location. He'd done a little bit of looking ahead of time. He'd gotten a map before he came. Not a map, a floor plan of the hotel, which is a kind of map. So he understood when he got the room number that the painting would be in. He was able to look it up and see how it was built, see its entrances. It was a simple room. It had one entrance from the hall. And it was on the first floor. It had a window that opened. Other than that, in the room was a coat closet and not much else. Perfect. All I thought. No way for anybody to go. So when the hour came, I knocked on the door. He had seen the painting, actually walked in. And that had come about 10 minutes before. Ollie noticed that there was more people in the hall than he expected. Wasn't really a whole lot else going on, but he figured maybe the other auction winners are picking up their stuff too. I don't know. He looked around. It seemed like 2 people in particular were watching it. But unable to figure out what their deal was, Ollie proceeded. He went into the room. There was the painting. On an easel. On a table next to it with all the things that you would need to pack it up. A box of the right size and padding and all that. And inside was 2 people in suits. One was somebody from the auction house. You could tell because he had an auction house jacket. And the other was a skinny, suspicious-looking man in a mustache. Ollie came in and said, "Hello. Nice to meet you. I'm Ollie." And the auctioneer said, "Hello, I'm James Nelson. I'm one of the auctioneers here." The other man didn't introduce himself. Ollie reached out a tentacle to try and shake hands with the guy. The guy just nodded at Ollie and said, "Hello. Thank you." Ollie couldn't be sure that that was the thief. The person didn't say at all who they were. It was awkward. So Ollie decided to play like he was being cautious. He said, "I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude, but it's an awful lot of money. And I like to know who's in the room when I'm paying a lot of money for expensive things." The auctioneer gave the guy a look. The guy said, "Very well. My name is Mark. I'm the seller." I said, "Okay, great. Nice to meet you, Mark. And I wanted to know a bit about the provenance." Mark said, that's not part of the deal. It's a dagger. It's a recognized piece. You can find it in the history books and biographies. You bought it at auction. The deal is made, you are obligated. I'm not obliged to disclose the details of how I came to have it. I said, okay, fair enough, you're right. So I bought a briefcase with $10,000. And he was kind of playing, he was kind of improvising at this point. He'd been hoping to get more information out of the guy. We put the briefcase on the table and opened up. I said, all right, well, here's the money. I'm assuming you would like to count it. Mark said, yes, I would. So Mark went over to the briefcase and he started counting the money. As he did that, about 2 or 3 stacks in, to everyone's surprise, the door opened with a jolt. That door should be locked. And the man who came through said, it was. Then the 2 men came through, the 2 men that Ollie had been eyeing earlier. Ollie thought there might be trouble. The auctioneer said, what's going on here? This is a private meeting. I said, yeah, it's a private meeting where you're trafficking in stolen goods. The auctioneer said, that's ludicrous. We're one of the most respected auction houses on the East Coast. We would never traffic in stolen goods. I said, then why do you have a stolen painting? Why are you exchanging it for cold, hard cash? I said, this is preposterous. Mark, you know exactly the provenance. Maybe it's time to go ahead and tell the provenance. Mark gave the auctioneer a mean look. I don't have to disclose anything. These men have given us no indication of who they are. And he slammed the briefcase shut. And that's when things really got out of hand. He tried to latch it and dart for the door. But the 2 men grabbed him. And he tried to run for the window, but the second man, Ollie, got in his way and leapt up and wrapped around his face. And Mark went down with a yell. Ah! Thud. And there was a scuffle. And the auctioneer, who, wasn't his first rodeo, he pulled the painting and the briefcase full of cash. Besides, they wouldn't get damaged in the scuffle. Soon enough, the 2 men and Ollie had Mark subdued. They tied his hands behind his back with zip ties and sat him in a chair. But now you're going to tell us where you got this painting, or we're going to assume that you're the thief. Mark said, you can say what you want. I'm not speaking to anybody unless they have a badge and I have an attorney next to me. And one of the men said, well, I can provide the badge. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a badge. It said FBI. I said, FBI? You should have called us, Ollie. We know exactly who you are. But we were worried about losing the thief. So we were going to try and recover the painting and get information on the thief before we... Yes, I know. You wanted the glory of catching the thief. But unfortunately, your employer changed his mind at the last minute and brought us in. I said, you really? And he didn't tell me. I don't know what to tell you. That's between you and him. But we put a signal device in the briefcase. As soon as it opened, we got a beep on our pagers. That's when we knew the transaction was going down. We catch everybody red-handed. You're lucky, Ollie, that we do know who you are. Otherwise, you'd be accomplice to the trading of stolen goods. Well, I said, all right. I can see when the FBI folks want to be in charge of the situation and you guys want to be in charge of the situation. I'm just going to ask one more question. Is that, do you need anything else from me? The other FBI agent gave him a sly smile and said, no, we really do appreciate your help, actually, Ollie. But we'll take it from here. And that is the case of Ollie in the stolen painting.